So, welcome back and onwards and upwards. I always say I draw my energy from other people, whether that's in person or on calls in the modern world, which we got so used to in the pandemic, and obviously during the virtual event like this now. So, who needs a coffee when you have such an inspiring person about to join us? Our next guest is a regular for the PeopleFirst Summit, or formerly known as the Inspirathon. And I think I've probably known him getting on for 7 or 8 years now, which is quite frightening how quickly that's gone. But Dr. Jerry Gule is a director and executive coach at Gule Executive Coaching Limited and has a passion for people development, transformation, and mainstreaming of persons with disability in the economy. He is a seasoned executive coach with over 30 years of leadership and HR management experience. He earned a Doctor of Education qualification from the Harvard Graduate School of Education in 1991, while still employed at the University of Botswana and Swaziland, now University of Eswatini. So hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. His talk is titled Lifting All of Humanity, Leading with Ubuntu First. And at the heart of capable organizations, high-performing teams, effective communities, and healthy relationships lies the spirit of Ubuntu, or humanity. So I'm a big fan of everything he does. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Dr. Jerry to the stage. And hello, welcome. How are you?
Hey, hello very much, Matt. I'm excellent, and I've been looking forward to this.
Good. Well, so have I. I mean, like I say, I need inspiration to get me through the long nights when I take this on. As I've said many times throughout the evening, I'm the one who came up with the idea for the event, so it's not fair for the team to do this shift. So, but that means I get the honor of being able to speak with you. So, without further ado, I'm going to disappear and leave you to do your thing, and I will speak to you at the end.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Ladies and gentlemen, it is such a pleasure and a privilege for me to be speaking to you this morning on a subject that I truly love, the subject of ensuring that our workplaces are places of inspiration, not places of boredom, places of death, if you wish. Places where we inspire each other. Let me ask you a question as I start this. When last did you laugh at the office? I'm talking belly laugh. I'm talking where everybody feels those positive enzymes flowing through their bodies because it's an exciting workplace to be. And we're the ones that can make our workplaces really inspiring. So I'm very glad to be part of this movement with inspiring workplaces with Matt, because I think we spend so much time working. Now we work in dispensed environments, but we need to be happy with what we do. We need to make sure that as we fulfill our purpose, we're actually excited about this. We're not miserable. And leaders and all of us create that environment that is vibey, that is inspiring, that unleashes all the creative juices in our minds to make sure that we can indeed be profitable, whether in organizations, in our communities, in our being, that we are profitable. We are supporting one another. That's really what Ubuntu is all about. Ubuntu is not about, if I can move to the next slide, it's not about individualism. It's about the fact that we are together, and being together, we can make such a difference. We can create such a vibe. This quote says, if you can laugh together, you can work together. You don't avoid each other, because you can laugh together, and you create those moments of laughter intentionally to inspire the next person. Inspiration has to come from another person, in as much as stuff that disheartens you comes from others. So I always ask this question: what kind of a colleague are you at work? what kind of a person are you in the community? Because Ubuntu says, going forward, Ubuntu says, next slide, as Mandela says, we have this saying, in Africa, we have a concept known as Ubuntu, based upon the recognition that we are only people because of other people. I mean, I am inspired by words like this and the thought that we are all connected. Next slide. We are interconnected as people, and we need to be inspiring one another. I am because we are. This is centered on the spirit of community, interconnectedness, and mutual caring. I want to underline caring. I was listening to someone talk yesterday, and they talk about this culture that is developed as a result of social media, the cancel culture, which can have devastating effect, psychological effect, mental, if you will, on our mental health. It's a culture where this spirit that I'm talking about, this feeling that we are one, as I say later on, that I am my sister and my brother's keeper. That's what Ubuntu is about. I am because we are. Your welfare is my welfare. And that's why I'm talking about the belly laugh that we create together, that harmony that we create together. And I'm challenging us, everyone on the call, listening to this, that's what we need to do. We need to recognize that as humanity, we are actually one. We are a community, and we talk about the global community, talk about the global village that is narrowed down because of all the developments that have taken place. But how much do we care for one another? How much do we recognize the fact that we are actually interconnected? Moving on. So in Zulu, we say umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. A person is a person through other people. You're not an island. We are dependent on other people. Their success is our success. So I can't be happy if my colleague is not doing well. That's why we reach out, particularly those of us who have a lot of experience, have been around the block a number of times. We don't look at the youngster and say, let him learn his own lesson, let him pay his school fees where we can. It is good, of course, for people to learn from their own experience, but it can be very expensive when you are there, when you can lend a hand to uplift others. I am a person through other people. So let's reinforce that idea in our workplaces as we live together, as we perform together. I mean, we hear all this. Brett earlier was talking about employer branding and how actually as a team, as a group, we make that come alive, right? Intentionally. And I'm proposing that that's what we need to do. That's what Ubuntu says. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. A person is a person through other people. Next slide. So we are all intricately connected. This interconnectedness helps us to build on each other's experiences, each other's intellect. We talk about collaboration. It's a big word. Co-creation. We can't do those things if we are mavericks. We are loners. We do them in community. So this interconnectedness, this interdependency is key for our survival and for our health. I mean, I was looking at the Sustainable Development Goals. It can't be that, well, this is not going to affect me. We know, the scientists have told us, it's going to affect all of us. And we need to, it is for that reason that these 17 Sustainable Development Goals came about. Can you imagine if we put aside selfishness, if we put aside individuality or individualism? It has its place, but individualism as the me, it's about myself only. But think, how does this impact my neighbor? my actions. I mean, we can do small things to impact our ecosystem because we are interconnected, to care for one another. The first goal, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, individual, all of us can do something about that. Yeah, we can do something about ensuring equality, ensuring that people feel they belong, creating, particularly if you're a leader in the community, in your organization, making sure that people feel that they are welcome, they belong. Equality, it's something that we strengthen. Accepting diversity, equality between men and women, that we create that environment. Interconnectedness, because umuntu, mabantu, so we create community. We lead with empathy. When we put people first, it's about the being, it's about the person. Yeah, we are compassionate, and that will alleviate a lot of problems. I mean, I was listening to psychologists talking about the issues of mental health, the devastation that happens because people's mental health is not being taken care of. Just listening to the next person, being empathetic, not saying anything. Simple things as like giving a hug, yeah? Because what we want to do, want to laugh together. Respect, value human dignity and human worth. Reciprocity. It's not about me, it's about us. Next slide. So we need to embrace this, because if we are going to be successful as a world, successful in the workplace, successful as communities, this has to be by design. It doesn't happen by accident. We talk about teams, high-performing teams. It's by design. You create the culture, you create the environment where people can be indeed the best that they can be. Moving on, next slide. So, when we talk about employee engagement, as I was saying earlier, that all the indicators tell us that people are not fully engaged. And when you dig and you ask them, even before you call consultants in, if you take your teams and you just speak to your own people and say, what are the obstacles? And as a leader, you ask the question, because you're a people-first leader, what can I do to remove the obstacles on your way so that you can perform at your best? Imagine if everybody in the team, as we start the day in our organization, we ask that question, people first. How can I be of service, of help to you today? How can I best serve you? Because I want you to succeed. It's not individualism where it's a, up-one-manship. We don't think about this, but we depend on each other for our success. We're in the same boat. If you just look at the world, we need to succeed as humanity. That's why we all need to make a contribution to sustainability. Little things, small things. In as much as we see the devastation that climate change is causing, there are people, there are organizations that have not lifted a finger to try and deal with what we see. In your own small household, there's stuff that you can do. Recycling, right? I'm amazed. In our family, we actually started recycling, and just looking at the stuff that goes to the dump site now, very, very few. The dustbin is almost empty. It only takes rubbish, small, not food items, because that stuff you can make a compost for yourself, have a small garden. Thinking just sustainability. It's been amazing to see that. So we can all contribute. We can all engage. Here we're talking about creating an environment that unleashes the potential of people so that these percentages actually change and people are performing at their peak. We can change this percent. This is 2023. I don't know what the stats are today, but it hasn't improved that much. So we need, as leaders, we need to be, and as colleagues at work, we need to create an environment that certainly testifies to the fact that we put people first, not me first. You put others first. And if they put you first, Just imagine the energy that you create when you do that. Next one. So this has to be a way of life in which we prioritize community in our workplaces, the well-being of everyone in the workplace, and the mutual support that we need. People feeling that they are supported in this environment that we're in these workplaces. And we know the results. Moving on to the next slide, for instance, I will be showing you that, of course, I'm from this part of the world, Southern Africa. I showed this team that this is the performance, and this is a picture that was taken in Paris, right, when they won that World Cup for, I would say for the umpteenth time. I know that's not true, but it is trust, it is dependence on each other that fuels success. If as a world we're going to succeed in solving our problems, which I know are many, if in our workplaces we're going to resolve problems, which are many, if we're going to build trust and depending on one another and sail to shore successfully, profitably, we need to ensure that we play as a team. And we play as a team because we have created an environment of trust, environment where I know that my colleagues are covering my backs. And they know they are competent to do what they need to do. And if they are not competent, how do we develop that competency that they need to perform at their best? We don't laugh at them. We bring them along. We provide the skills, the knowledge that they need to succeed. Yesterday, I met with 10 young people. And in our part of the world, the youth, if not probably worldwide, facing huge challenges in terms of unemployment. And how do you bring hope in an environment like this? It's how you lead, what you say, whether or not people can open up to you. And these young people, our intention is to inspire them to look at the world and see what it is that they can do, not to block their way, but to inspire them. So success comes because we play as a team. Next slide. So we've got to play as a team. Same message here. This is the leading team at the moment. So next slide, just talking about the fact that everyone has to know what they're doing. I mean, talent, yeah, you can have the best talent, but it's not going to deliver for you if you are not putting people in the right seats, as someone said, yeah, have the right driver driving the bus, creating the right culture, ensuring that the people have the skills, and celebrating. Look at the happiness of this team. Last year, they won the league in South Africa for the 7th time consecutively, yeah, and they went on to win this inaugural African Football League. Team that is doing very well. Now, I'm not going to spend time talking about what makes them perform so well. Part of it is individual commitment, but it's also commitment as a community. Knowing, I mean, it's like the guys have telepathy in terms when they pass the ball. It's like they have telepathy because they know each other's strength. Is that the kind of environment, inspiring environment that you are creating in your workplace, that you are creating in your workplace, in your community? That's the vibe we need to have. Next slide. Okay, so let's create that. So putting people first, then we put them first when business emphasizes collaboration, collaborative leadership, and social responsibility. When in our education system, we foster community-based learning, social, emotional development, and ways that our communities can be resilient. If a community is, we're not talking about structure, we're talking about people, that you create resilience within that community. The people that come out of there can be resilient in the workplace. So because of this interdependency, we actually cannot afford to only have resilience happening only in workplaces. It actually happen in community, in society, in a country. That gives us capability as the world, if that's what's happening. And of course, in our personal relationships, that are imbued with empathy, active listening, and amicable resolutions of problems. Ego kills this. Where there are opportunities of resolving problems that affect communities, affect countries, egos come in the way because we are not able to look for the win-win. Ubuntu says we can all win because I am, because we are. That's what it's about. Ubuntu leadership, putting people first in decision making. I like the saying that in a meeting you should always have an empty chair, which represents the person who's not in the room. If it's your customers, it represents, you think about them as you craft this solution. Yeah, if it's your management and talking about what they're going to be doing in the company, putting a chair there representing the employees. And if our employees were here, what questions would they ask about what we're doing? Putting yourself in the other person's shoes, relationships, personal relationships that are imbued with sympathy. And of course, here I'm talking about multilateralism, which we see is starting to disappear in the world. Selfishness is coming through, me, ego coming through. But we need our global institutions to be led by people who put people first. And we need a world where people are put first. The interests of people are put first. People are inspired to follow the lead. We know that there's a lot of mistrust in terms of how people are showing up and leading. Globally, we've got to change that. You change that by one person at a time, understanding that there is this interconnectivity. Next slide. So I'm going to conclude and say, from my point of view, leading with Ubuntu puts people first. It shows that you care about people. I'm not saying Ubuntu says you don't take tough decisions. No, it's not a cocky kind of thing. You take tough decisions, but you make sure that people understand why those decisions, the rationale for that, is not because I say so. Yeah, it's because here's the rationale. And people are so gracious when you explain. I mean, I having been in the human resources field for many years, having led restructuring of companies, when you do it with grace, with understanding, with Ubuntu at heart, it changes everything. Because people understand and you're fair. The problem is that when you start being unfair, unfairness doesn't come from a place of Ubuntu. It comes from a place of ego, selfishness, not community. Tough decisions can be made through this philosophy of Ubuntu because you consult, you communicate, you are empathetic, you listen. The solutions are not only in your head, they're in the heads of the community and they can give you the solution. So putting people first is that you hear what their views are, you care about them, and you show it on a daily basis. That's how you show up in the workplace, not just as a leader. I'm challenging even us as colleagues in the workplace. What kind of a colleague are you? Are you that abhorrent colleague that no one wants to talk to? How do we change that? Because that's an element of behavior. How do we behave? And it can be remedied. Secondly, so Ubuntu puts the burden on all of us. We're allies. I am my sister and my brother's keeper. There is therefore no space for bullying when we practice Ubuntu. There is no space of canceling culture when we practice Ubuntu because we care for one another. So there's stuff that we all need to collectively work on to bring this culture of treating each other with dignity, regarding each other as people of value, not people to be discarded. Events happening around the world at the moment are very discouraging, but we can't give up. We need to work hard to win hearts, minds, and of course, make sure that the hands do the right thing and we treat each other carefully. The hands are used for hugging, for love, yeah, for demonstrating love, because for connection, yeah, that's what we want to do. So there is no space for bullying, and it's one of the rampant things. I mean, this month is a month where we say there should be no bullying in the workplace. But we know, as a coach, I sometimes encounter people whose self-confidence has been thoroughly demolished in places where they should be inspiration, not taking out the dignity of people. So the workplace has to be inspiring, because people spend a lot of time doing work or being at work, and we can't afford to be known as a place where people are going to people. Last one, we can all exercise self-leadership and lead others with Ubuntu. How you show up, how you support others. You can adopt this philosophy. I'm challenging all of us to embrace Ubuntu. Next slide. So this is Maya Angelou, and she reminds us that how we treat people stays with them. How are you going to be treating your staff, your colleagues today? Lead with Ubuntu. Make a difference. Create an inspiring workplace. Be an inspiration wherever you go. That's my conclusion. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much. Sometimes things are delivered to you when you need them most, and I think your talk just now is exactly what the world needs. A reminder of that we need to put each other first, to build the community, to be each other's inspiration, to have empathy and respect. I mean, what you just put forward is so powerful and so eloquent. But I just wish we had 1 million eyeballs on this this session, or 1 billion eyeballs even, because it's exactly what the world needs right now, and both inside and outside of the workplace. So we will be promoting this on demand, and hopefully, if people are watching us on demand right now, but as far and as wide as we can go, because yeah, brilliantly put, and wholeheartedly agree with everything you've just put forward. And I want to say Ubuntu, but I probably pronounced it very, very poorly. So
no, that's perfect. That's perfect.
But I just want to say I'm very grateful for what you do and for sharing this today. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.